In this demonstration, we're going to start off with doing some conditional formatting. So the first thing we're going to do is apply additional formatting to A4 through A32. Okay, so we go to Home, Conditional Formatting, highlight Cell Rules, Duplicate Values, and we're going to turn it to yellow fill with dark yellow text. We'll click OK. Now we can easily see then how we want to fix this. So if we want to change like the Firehouse Partners to 1015, and then we're going to change the Apple Wild Learning Center to 1023, and that would correct our problem with having duplicate values. Now we can go now and do some more conditional formatting. We're going to edit the conditional formatting rule applied to G4 through G32. Okay, so we're going to do some conditional formatting editing. So we select the column and then we go conditional formatting, manage rules. We're going to edit this column here because that's the one we're looking at, that G column. And then we click on edit rules and we're going to change the format. So we're going to do our font color is the white background 1, which is here. And then our fill color is the blue accent 5 lighter 4. Again, you should hover over top. You should see the name that way. And then you click OK. And it's been changed here in the Conditional Formatting Rules Manager. And then we can click on Apply. And then OK. And you can see that it changed it to the blue accent 5 lighter, 40%. Okay, now we're going to do what's called a structured reference, okay, using absolute referencing as well. And so we're going to go ahead and type in D4. We're going to put the equal, and we're going to use B1 here, and we're going to subtract the first order. So if you click on first order, okay, now if you put your mouse in front of the B and do function F4, it will put the $sign so that you have that absolute in there. And then you'll notice it says minus, and then it has the square brackets. And this is because it's in a table, and in a table it has locations, which is where you get the at first order, because the data is grouped when it's in a table so that it has a structure applied to it, and that's where it gets the name structured reference. Hit enter, and you'll see because it is a table, it puts all the formula all the way down the row to 32, and you can see then that you have your tenure in years that way. Okay, we're going to do a if statement in I4. So we're going to put the equal, and we're going to do the if, and then our logical test, because this fill in the blank, is going to be 2015 sales, and they should be greater than 0, greater than 0. Okay, and so then we need our comma, and then we have 2-year sales growth divided by the 2016 sales, and then we have a comma, and then we have in quotes N A quote and closing. And if we have all our commas and closing parentheses in the right places, we hit enter. And as you can see, if you are missing anything or have too much of something, then you end up with an error. And that's usually the most difficult part of a if statement. So if you get this, what you need to do is go back and take a look and see if you are missing something. So if I go in here and look, then again you can see it'll give you some suggestions, but what I typically do is just look and see if I have the commas or opening quotes in all the right places. So see, I have a comma here, but it looks like maybe I left out a comma right here, so let's give that a try. If I put my comma right there, now you can see I have my logical test right here, which is 2015 sales greater than 0, comma. Then I have the first, if it's true, I'm going to take the 2-year sales growth divided by 2016 sales, comma, and if it's false, I put in NA. And now I have all the commas. I get my first one. Because it is structured, it puts all the rest of them in here for me. We're going to do a if statement again, but this time we're going to do an if nested with a or function. So I'm going to put the equal, and we're going to be checking for a discount, yes or no. So equal if, open parenthesis, or, open parenthesis. Then we can do our logical tests. So we're going to take the 2016 sales, and we're going to take that and we're going to say, is it greater than or equal to 10,000? And then we're going to put a comma. And then after our checking for 10,000, we check to see if first order, so we click on first order, is equal to 2016. And then we have our closing, first closing parenthesis and a comma. And then we have the check, once we've checked for those two logical tests, then we have opening quote and a Y, comma, and an N for no, which should have an opening quote and a closing one, and then a closing parenthesis. And again, if we have all our commas and opening and closing, sometimes I'll count each one to kind of make sure everything's where it belongs. When I hit enter, we get the logical tests with our answer for true or false. So we have a yes or a no on our discount. In K4, we're going to do another if statement. So we're going to put equal if, open parenthesis, and we're going to do the discount, yes or no, and we want to know if it is going to be equal to no. That's our first logical test. So the N, so is it equal to N? Okay, comma, 0, or if, okay, so we have our 0, we're going to do another if, because this is nested, and we have if, open parenthesis again, and if our tenure is less than 5, comma, then we put in 0.07, comma, or 0.1. And we need two closing parentheses. So it says if our discount, okay, is no, then if it's true, you have 0. Or you have another logical test, and it says if the tenure is less than 5, then you put in 0.07, or if it's not either one, then you put in 0.1. If we have everything, all our commas and parentheses again, we put them in, and we now have the column discount done. And the last one is priority, and I'm going to leave this one because after practicing the first 3 of these, I think now you're ready to complete this one. See if you can figure out. You know it requires an and And if you break it down, it's set up exactly like the OR, except that you have a and where the OR would go. So that gives you the structure of it. And then you can figure out from the scenario what the input fields would be in your structured references. Okay, now we're going to do a if error on a VLOOKUP. So go over, if we look at Q4, you'll notice we have an NA error. This error shows that there was, it's an invalid customer ID, so there is no answer, so it gives back the N-A value. So that it can be more easy for people to understand that don't know what that error means, we're going to do the if error. So if we go into the formula that we have already, and we're going to put in front of the VLOOKUP, we're going to put if error, and then we need a opening parenthesis for that VLOOKUP that way. And then we've got everything we need down to false, and we just need to put our comma, and then we can put in what we want our message to be, which is invalid customer ID. So invalid customer ID. Okay, make sure you have double quotes around both of them, and then closing parenthesis, and now we have a message instead of that in a H lookup. And I'm in Q7. Q7, I'm going to do H lookup. Okay, and this is like a VLOOKUP, except instead of being vertical, it goes horizontal. But other than that, the pattern and the rules are the same. So with the H lookup, we're going to look for Q5. So I'm putting in Q5, comma, and we're going to use the defined range called customer incentive. So we'll start typing customer, and there it is, customer incentive. So we're going to click on it, and then we're going to put another comma, and we want column 2, and because we want an approximate match, we're going to put in true. Okay, or you can type it, or you can always just click on it, either one, and then put your closing parenthesis there. Okay, and it's saying that Q5 cannot be found right now. Okay, so alright, so right now, again, in our H lookup, we've got the NA. So we have an invalid customer number, so let's put in and check this with 1019. And now we have a valid customer, and our H lookup works. And there's one VLOOKUP left that needs to be done with the discount. Alright, so you should complete this last VLOOKUP before you continue on. Alright, we're going to go to the customer analysis sheet, and we're going to do our first count. So we go equal, and we're going to put in our count. Okay, so we start with count, and then we're going to, okay, so I'm going to start typing, and I'm looking for the table. This is right here. And then I can start to see the column. If I start with my square bracket, I can put in my customer ID, and I need to close the square bracket and close the parenthesis, and then hit enter, and there's 29. Alright, now I'm going to start with a count if. So again, I can start my count. You'll see count if. Okay, so I'm going to click on that one. and that's going to give me my opening. And again, I'm going to start typing so I can pick my table and then my square brackets, so it'll give me my list of tables, and I want priority, closing bracket, and then I'm going to have a high, so I have my comma and the word high, and my closing parenthesis, and I have 0 of those. Okay, so you have 0 for this COUNTIF, but it's 0 right now because the priority column, we have not completed it yet. So after you complete it, you will get a number in there, and then it will go ahead and update it dynamically, which is one of the really wonderful things about having a dynamic spreadsheet that uses cell referencing. All right, now in the next columns, you're going to be using sum and SUMIF. You're going to do some division, and you're going to do average and average it if. And now the SUMIF and the average if follow the same format that we just used for this COUNTIF. You can complete this table with the information that you've seen and with the instructions that you have.